If you're drawn to restrained desire, bodies learning each other through movement, and the kind of romance that begins without words, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. This is the story of the week. I signed up for a couples dance workshop alone. And the man who chose me anyway. I almost don't go inside. The studio is on the third floor of an old building downtown, the kind with wide staircases and windows that haven't been replaced in decades. Music hums faintly through the door, not loud, not inviting, just present. Inside, people are already pairing up. Hands linked, fingers interlaced. Quiet laughter. I stand just inside the doorway, suddenly aware of my empty hands. I'm probably in the wrong place, I murmur. You're right on time. The voice comes from behind me. I turn. He's tall, white, early 40s, maybe late 30s. Broad shoulders, lean build, posture relaxed but intentional. Like someone who knows exactly where their weight belongs. He's dressed simply. Black trousers, fitted shirt, sleeves rolled just enough to reveal forearms marked by use, not display. I'm Mateo, he says. Instructor. Oh, I reply. This is a couples workshop. Yes, he says calmly. And you're here. I glance past him at the room again. I didn't realize it was mandatory to come with someone. It isn't, he replies. Most people just assume it is. There's no judgment in his voice, only certainty. He doesn't make an announcement, doesn't single me out. He simply walks to the center of the room and claps once, sharp and clean. Partners, he says. Take your places. People move. I don't. Mateo looks at me then, openly, and offers his hand. Dance with me, he says. It isn't flirtation. It's instruction. Still my pulse jumps. I've never done this before, I say. That's good, he replies. You won't unlearn anything. I take his hand. His grip is warm. Steady, not possessive, present. The first exercise is simple. Weight shifts, steps without music, learning to follow and lead without forcing either. Mateo stands close but not too close. His hand rests lightly at my shoulder blade, not pressing, just guiding. Don't anticipate, he murmurs. Let me tell you where to go. I don't like not knowing, I admit. He smiles faintly. Most people don't. We move. My body stumbles at first, overthinking each step. He adjusts instantly, compensating without comment, keeping us balanced. You're holding tension here, he says softly, fingers hovering near my ribcage, not touching. Breathe. I do. The difference is immediate. Better, he says. Something settles in me at the sound of approval. As the workshop continues, I become aware of something strange. Mateo doesn't rotate partners. He stays with me. The other couples move across the floor, learning patterns, practicing turns. We stay near the mirrors, repeating fundamentals. You're not switching, I say quietly during a break. No, he agrees. Why? Because you're learning faster this way, he replies. And because you're listening with your body, not just your head. That feels intimate. More than it should. The second day I arrive early. The studio is quiet, sunlight pouring in through the tall windows, dust motes suspended in the air like they're waiting for music. Mateo is already there, stretching. You came back, he says. I didn't finish learning, I reply. He studies me for a moment. You finished yesterday. You just didn't realize it yet. He offers his hand again. This time I don't hesitate. The exercises grow more complex. Turns that require trust. Pauses that demand awareness. Moments where our bodies align so precisely that I can feel his breath change when mine does. You're leading now, I say at one point. No, he corrects. I'm responding. There's a difference? Yes, he says. Leading is about control. Responding is about attention. And which do you prefer? His gaze meets mine in the mirror. Attention. By the third day, the tension is unmistakable. Not sexual, not yet, but intimate. In the way his hand settles more confidently at my back. In the way I no longer flinch when he adjusts my posture. In the way silence stretches between us without discomfort. During a break, I sit on the floor stretching my calves. Mateo sits beside me, not touching. You don't usually take solo dancers, I say. I don't usually, he agrees. So why me? He considers carefully. Because you don't try to impress me. You try to understand. That lands deeper than any compliment. The fourth day is harder. The music changes, slower, heavier, demanding patience. I miss a step and stumble slightly. Matteo catches me instinctively, one arm firm around my waist, the other steadying my shoulder. We freeze. His grip tightens just enough to ground me. You okay? He asks quietly. Yes, I answer, breath unsteady. Just startled. He doesn't let go right away. Then slowly he steps back. The distance feels louder than the music. You didn't ask, he says gently. I didn't mind, I reply. I know, he says. But that matters. Something about that makes my chest ache. That night I can't stop thinking about the space between us. Not the closeness. The restraint. The way he's constantly aware of what he could do, and chooses not to. The fifth day I test it. During a pause I step closer than necessary. Close enough that our knees brush. Matteo stills. You're changing the frame, he says quietly. Yes, I reply. Why? Because I want to know if you'll adjust. He studies me, eyes dark but controlled. I will, he says. But only if you asked. The honesty hits harder than anything else could have. The final session is held after hours. No other couples. No chatter. Just us, the mirrors, and music low enough that it feels private. This is optional, Matteo says. You don't have to stay. I want to, I reply. Then we do this differently, he says. No instruction unless you ask for it. The music begins. We move slowly. Not practicing. Listening. His hand rests at my back, light aware. My hand finds his shoulder, tentative at first, then steady. This isn't a performance, he murmurs. I know. It's a conversation. I'm listening. So am I. The dance ends without announcement. We stop moving, still close, breathing aligned. Neither of us steps away. Matteo, I say quietly. Yes. This doesn't feel like a lesson anymore. No, he agrees. It doesn't. And you're still here. Yes. Why? Because you're choosing to stay present, he replies. And so am I. I swallow. If I stop dancing, will you step back? Yes, he answers immediately. And if I don't? Then I'll stay exactly where I am. The choice is mine. I don't move. He doesn't kiss me. He doesn't rush. Instead, he rests his forehead lightly against mine. An intimacy that feels deliberate, respectful, devastating. This isn't casual for me, he says softly. Good, I whisper. It's not for me either. The room feels suspended. Afterward, we sit on the floor, backs against the mirrors, legs stretched out. You didn't come here looking for this, he says. No, I admit. I came because I didn't want to feel invisible. You aren't, he replies. You never were. Then why did it take dancing for someone to see me? He turns toward me. Because some people only understand attention through movement. The workshop ends. People leave. Life resumes. But I keep coming back to the studio. Not to learn steps. To move. With him. We don't label it. We don't rush it. We let it unfold the same way the dance did. Through listening, through choice, through restraint that turns intimacy into something earned. I entered a couples dance workshop alone. I didn't leave with a partner. I left with something quieter. A man who didn't need to claim me, only to choose me, and wait until I chose him back. I expect something to shift the next morning. An awkward text. Polite distance. A sense that what happened belonged only to the studio and should stay there. Instead, Matteo shows up exactly the same. Calm. Attentive. Unchanged. That unsettles me more than if he'd pulled away. We don't talk about the final session. Not directly. He corrects my posture like always. Adjusts my timing. Lets silence stretch when I need it to. But now every movement carries memory. Every pause feels intentional. You're anticipating again, he says quietly during one sequence. Am I? I ask. Yes, he replies. You're trying to decide where this goes instead of staying in it. I stop moving. And where does it go? I ask. He doesn't answer right away. Instead, he steps back, giving me space I didn't realize I was bracing against. It goes where both people keep choosing to stay present, he says. No further. No less. The simplicity of it disarms me. The next few days feel slower. Not because anything is missing, but because everything is deliberate. He never assumes familiarity. Never shortens distance without invitation. When his hand settles at my back, it's exactly where it was before. No more, no less. You're very careful, I say one afternoon. Yes, he replies. Because now it matters. That sentence stays with me longer than the music. On the 6th day, I arrive to find the studio empty. The lights are lower than usual. No mirar som cover. No music playing. You changed the setup, I say. Mateo nods. Today isn't about technique. What is it about? Listening, he says. Without movement. He sits on the floor near the window, back against the wall. Doesn't gesture for me to join him. I choose to. We sit side by side, close but not touching. The city hums faintly below. You don't teach like other instructors, I say. No, he agrees. Why? Because most people already know the steps, he replies. They just don't know how to stay once it gets uncomfortable. I glance at him. And you? I stay, he says. But only if I'm invited. The words settle between us, weighted with meaning. I turn toward him slowly. You never talk about your life outside this room, I say. That's true. Is that intentional? Yes. Why? Because I've learned that intimacy doesn't require disclosure, he answers. It requires presence. I consider that. And you've been present. Yes. So have I. He meets my gaze then, something open and steady there. I've noticed, he says. Later, when the music finally starts, it's different. Lower. Slower. More breath than beat. We move, not as instructor and student, but as equals. No directions. No quiz. Just awareness. His hand rests at my back again, familiar now. My fingers curl lightly at his shoulder, grounded by the solid warmth beneath. You're leading, I murmur. No, he says softly. You are. I hesitate. Then move. He follows without resistance. The shift is subtle but profound. The moment that breaks me isn't dramatic. It's quiet. The music fades and we stop without realizing when. We're close enough now that stepping back would feel deliberate. I don't. Neither does he. This would be the part where someone crosses a line. I say quietly. Yes, he agrees. And you won't. Not unless you choose it, he says. And even then, only if it's mutual. The trust in that statement loosens something deep in my chest. I reach for his hand, slowly, giving him time to refuse. He doesn't. He closes his fingers around mine, not tight, not claiming, just present. That's enough, he says softly. For now. I nod, surprised by the relief that brings. The days that follow are different. Not more intense. More grounded. We talk more. About music. About travel. About the ways people misunderstand intimacy as urgency. You don't rush, I tell him one evening. No, he replies. Because what's rushed is usually borrowed. And this is earned, he says. The workshop ends without ceremony. People leave. Schedules resume. The studio empties. I linger at the door. So what happens now? I ask. Mateo doesn't answer immediately. He steps closer, not invading, not retreating. Now, he says, we decide whether this stays in the studio, or whether we let it exist somewhere else. And what do you want? He meets my gaze. I want what we've built. Without pressure. Without performance. And if I say yes, then I'll meet you where you are, he says. Not ahead. Not behind. I smile. That sounds like dancing. He smiles back. Exactly. I entered a couple's dance workshop alone. I didn't leave with a role. I left with the rhythm. One built on patience. On choice. On a man who understood that desire doesn't need to be taken. Only answered.